It is irrational for a blue-black African to worship a white man. Just as it's irrational for an Eskimo to worship a black man, where everybody in their mythology got the same Christ. But the Romans came in because they wanted to dominate the world. And they tried to get the monopoly on the Christ by saying that this is the only true Son of God. And basically this person just comes up and tell you what to do, all this love and all this crazy thing. But guess what? The text came up in 1945. The true Christ, the one that comes from the Coptic Horus. He don't say none of that shit. In the Gospel of Thomas, it was like, which is when they got out of the library, they took out a Compass of Nicaea. Mm-hmm. It's found in these in this text. In the Gospel of Thomas, he says, they say, Christ, tell us what kind of diet you want us to go on. He said, don't lie. Why do what you hate? Blessed is the man who eats the lion. Then the lion becomes a part of the man. Cursed is the man that gets eaten by the lion, and a man becomes a part of the lion. Ah! He goes on, they say, tell us about the kingdom of heaven. He said, you'll know the end when you know the beginning. Shit, you done lost the knowledge to the beginning. They say, well, then they said, they told about, tell about the end. He said, you know the end if you know the beginning. They said, tell us about the kingdom of heaven. He said, heaven is all around you, but you drunk, you can't see it because you're looking for these two eyes, and you ain't looking with the spiritual eye. This person in here is a straight-up revolutionary. A no-holds-barred person. They don't even deal with the crazy stuff. You see what I'm saying? So clearly the text that they dug up in 1945 that dates back to Coptic Egypt and only in the Metanetta is a totally different thing. And that's the original one before the Romans stole it and turned it into the New Testament. But don't get me wrong, the New Testament got all the stuff in it. It's just that for the first time you can't go by page for page, but you can go into the pages and find the same stuff. That's the difference. The Bible is still a viable thing. You just can't go by from A to Z, but you can go into the pages and it's all there. That's the difference. Know how to do it. Yeah, that's the difference. You can't go by the basic theology that's drawn up from the Freedmen's Bureau, which is the way they was going to teach slaves. And that's what we still on now. Same old good old time religion is good enough for me. You can't go by that anymore. You have to go into the book. That's what Elijah Muhammad said. And that's the difference. It's all there. Now let me show you the real mystery of the book to make the book come alive. Take the book, take some old deity that you're supposed to follow, take him out, and put yourself in the role of the Christ. And that's what the book is originally for. It's a guidebook for your soul, which is the Christ. Yes. So the person that they're talking about in there is you. Old body, new body. Old Testament, New Testament. If you take the book, just as I have done great works, greater works ye shall do. Is it not written in the law that ye are gods, and the scriptures cannot be broken? John chapter 10, verse 34, 36. So it means you're supposed to take the book as an esoteric book. And everywhere you see Jesus or the Christ, you identify that as your soul. Then the book comes alive. It's just when you start following it and thinking some cracker coming back or some black man coming back. Black man come back saying, I'm the Christ. I say, okay, good. You take these bullets. Now you take these bullets and you take them and don't be on that floor. Then maybe you have a chance. I might follow you. But the esoteric teaching was a mystery system book, just like the Book of the Dead, which is a passage to the soul. And you are the Christ in it. So it's a role-playing book where you get through the journey. You go on a journey, and at the end of the journey, you become illuminated. That's the real message. And that's the difference between the Egyptian one and the other one. At this time, it's a scapegoat thing. They tell you to worship somebody instead of you becoming the God.
Yourself.
Mm-hmm. And that's the difference between.
Now, can you remember what I cut you off from? You were in a continuation. If you don't, I ask you another question.
I remember. In so many words, what I was saying was based on all of the ancient ones. They all talk about a story of the gods before this God. The God of the day or the God of the living means that in actuality, the God of these two eyes, which is the chief, he creates this illusion around you, which is a hologram. The God of the dead is inside of you. Where's the God that died? Jesus died on the cross. Where's the cross? If you stand up and put your arms out like this, that's the cross. You get it? Now, where's Christ? Christ is on the inside of you, which is the third eye on the cross. That's the cross that Jesus died on. That means that your soul is on the inside. It died long ago when you fell into the physical realm, and it will be resurrected again through the Kundalini energy. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. That's what this thing is talking about. That's what this thing is talking about. You see what I'm saying? You know. So yeah. So give me some more questions.
You know, I want to deal a little bit with this Black Greek. I had that picture there. I want to use it.
Yeah. You got it on me?
I have it. Do I insert it in? But you said the Etruscans.
The Etruscans.
Etruscans.
Let me go through a little bit of history of that. Yeah,
okay.
Let me go through a little bit of history of that. Before I get to that, let me explain something else. The oldest system of worship in the world is called Typhonianism. That's why you ain't heard about it. So you got all these other people talking about the oldest stuff, but the real stuff you ain't heard about. It's called Typhonianism, Ophidianism, and Draconianism. You heard the word? You figure there ain't no word, but the white boy tell you your ideas are a little draconian. Well, if it's a word that don't exist, why is he using it in his doggone dictionary? And this is the cult of the dragon. The dragon is in the constellation of Draco. The cult of, and that's the form of the Great Mother. All the other goddesses, the Great Mother, take it from this one Great Mother. But she has a son. It's the mother and the son, and that son is Sirius, the star system Sirius, are known as Soot. Now, it's interesting. We had this Draconian and Typhonian stuff up until 1907. See, Gerald Massey, when he went into the British Museum, he translated a lot of this stuff. And you can get all this in his works. But after 1907, after he translated Book of the Beginning, 1881, and then Natural Genesis, 1888, and then finally in 1907, he does Ancient Egypt, Light of the World. All this Typhonian stuff disappears. They lock it down, and only people who have access to it is your secret societies. And they go to Nubia with a lot of this Typhonian stuff, and they cover over 200 temples at the Aswan Dam, which had this Typhonian stuff in it, as well as they found Hebrew letters all over them temples. So it was the vested interests of the Jews to cover it up because it would show the African origin of the Hebrew. 200 temples.
Yes.
And you know the white man don't. Yeah, you know the white man don't cover up nothing. Now, so you know it had to be some real serious shit for him to cover up 200 temples. And they digging in Egypt this day, and they got 200 temples up under the Aswan Dam, up under the river. See what I'm saying? That was Typhonian stuff. Now, the Typhonian stuff of the Great Mother and the child developed, matured, and declined even before the first monumental phase of Egypt, where the big buildings of the dynastic Egypt. The dynastic group came in, which is your Ra worshippers and Osiris, and they replaced it the Typhonian, and they wiped it from the monuments. And Osiris takes on the attribute of Soot, and Set becomes his nemesis, or he becomes his enemy. But Set is the oldest god in the world, and Typhonian's attributes before it comes Osiris attributes before there was Osiris used to belong to Set. All this is in Jeremiah's Ancient Egypt, Light of the World, as well as Albert Churchward's Evolution Origins of Christianity, Evolution Origins of Religion. So Set is the oldest primordial deity of all time, which is the star Sirius also. But Osiris becomes the star Sirius too, as well as all the other Egyptian deities. So one priesthood overtakes the other priesthood. So that priesthood, Apep, is the great dragon also. Apep was replaced by Ra. So the Typhonians at this time travel up into Mesopotamia and find Babylonia, Samaria, Chaldea, and on into Greece as the Etruscans. But they were the
time period we're talking about.
Oh man, we're talking about the Typhonians were basically your pre-dynastic time period, so it's before 3000 BC. That roughly. What Manetho says that there's 500 pharaohs in the dynastic period, which is 3,000 years, and there's 800 in the pre-dynastic, which was 5,000 years. And roughly, he said, we're talking about about 8,000 years. The pre-dynastic is the Typhonian. It's the Typhonian. It's the pre-dynastic. So they travel up into Mesopotamia and all that, but they also, from Mesopotamia, they become the Phoenicians.
Now these are still all black people right now.
Ain't nothing never was nothing but black. These are the Phoenicians. And the Phoenicians travel into Rome, because the Phoenicians becomes Etruria, and Etruria becomes the Etruscans of the Trojans. You know, the Greek went to war with the Trojans. That's the later day Indo-Europeans going to war with the Trojans and wiped out those Etruscans. But the Etruscans find Rome and Greece, which I showed the picture. And they find Rome and Greece and establish the Greek language and the Latin language. And the first Greek mythology, Zeus and Apollo and Hercules, is a black mythology. It's just as valid. Now, Greek philosophy was stolen from Egypt years later. So don't mix up the time cycle. Greek mythology is black. Greek philosophy is plagiarized Egyptian philosophy. So don't do the time cycle. When I talk about Hercules and Zeus and Apollo and Perseus, that's black. It's not later. It's just the Phoenicians' religion of the Typhonian stuff. So you say, well, what did the Phoenicians of the Etruscans worship? They had the religion of the whole Olympian deities of Greece, which the later Indo-Europeans come in and wipe them out and then take their shit. You see what I'm saying?
Now, this time period would have been around when the Indo-Europeans come in. It would be around 800.
It would be closer to the time. It would be maybe a couple of hundred years closer to the time that Greece comes into world history as this white 2000 BC.
That would be around 500 BC.
Yeah, you know, whatever the time thing is, you know, like that, no. So it's no different than, you know, everywhere you go, you got your Dravidians. It's the same story. You got your Dravidians, Indus Kush in India, and then the Indus Valley, and then what happens? The Indo-Europeans come in, and because India is a big place, they don't wipe out all of them. But you have, further to the north, you get a lighter type of Indian. It's a caste system going on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The Greeks never were all white.
I can see.
As a matter of fact, when you see the Greeks now, they got nappy hair.
Yeah, I can see.
And if they got damn nappy hair in damn 99, then you know 2,000 years ago they had to be all black. So we still talking about primarily a black culture, even with the influx of the Indo-Europeans. You see what I'm saying? They never were always. That's why Charles Spence say when the Greek has the Greece and the ancient Greek, when they did the survey, had a heavy sickle cell trait. So that means they had to be black. See the difference? And that's the difference on that. You see what I'm saying? So that the Etruscans is that particular group of people, which the picture shows. I got the picture. I can run in and get it if you want.
No, add it in.
Add it in. Yeah, you got it. Okay.
I got that.
Yeah. So yeah. So that's what that is.
Okay, that's marvelous. If we look at then when the Egyptians, when the Africans finally lose power, what was it within that culture that that get?
I'll tell you what it means. Unfortunately, and fortunately, we're connected with nature. And nature goes on a series of cycles. And everything in nature, the force deteriorates and then regenerate. The problem why we got a problem with this is because still in our mind, we got the Judeo-Christian mentality that the earth started 6,000 years ago. So therefore, we figured at the time when Egypt came was relatively a short time. Let's put it this way. When the monumental Egypt that you know of as dynastic Egypt comes into play, it's over for the Egyptians. Listen what I'm telling you. When dynastic Egypt, of what you know of with Egypt as the civilization that you so much love, that was the lowest point for the damn Africans. Although this is the highest thing, the civilization that the white man can't even get to, that's the lowest point for us.
Well, why do you say that? Because
I'm going to explain it
when
to
they
you.
built the pyramids?
Yeah, no, they built the pyramids
Before that?
way before then. You see what I'm saying? They built the pyramids and the Sphinx at the same time. Now the Sphinx is carbon dated 90,000 years. John Anthony West breaks that shit in the 70s. The pyramid and the Sphinx is one complex. They didn't build one after the other. The Sphinx is carbon dated 90,000 years. You see what I'm saying? I'm talking about something older than that.
Yeah.
And that was built by the Typhonians, the pre-dynastic ones. I told you that the Typhonians developed, matured, and declined long before the first monumental phase of what you know of as modern Egypt, or what you know of as the Egypt that we all study, which is dynastic Egypt, or Kemet. When dynastic Kemet comes, it's over. We're literally talking about, well, even if we go by Manetho and he was conservative, he was just giving the Greeks something just to wet their tongue. They say ultimately you don't never tell a person your original origin because they can dictate how far you can go. Manetho said that basically we had 8,000 years. Then they asked Manetho, the high priest, well, who used to rule before then? He said, oh, that's when a whole bunch of gods used to rule. The Afrocentric community at that particular time, somebody else quoted that, but what they didn't realize is the gods that used to rule, that Manetho talked about before 8,000 years, guess who they were? Guess who those gods were?
Before Manetho?
No, the gods that used to rule, he said that there was roughly 8,000 years between pre-dynastic and dynastic. They asked him, who used to rule before 8,000 years? He said that's when a whole bunch of gods used to rule. Who the hell you think the God was? It was the same damn people.
Yeah.
Now let me explain what it is.